Hello everyone, this is Duni from Drew Academy. That's where we help people to enhance their well-being, especially after they've experienced a loss. For the last few weeks, we've been talking about our experience of grief. We've talked about thoughts as well. And last week, we talked about self-talk and ways by which we can enhance our self-talk to improve our well-being. Today, we're going to be talking about feelings and emotions. So, as we have started talking about this, we'll end the talk today with 5 keys to better manage our feelings. Right, so let's get to it. When we talk about emotions, we're talking about a universal response to positive and negative triggers. And usually it's an expression from within ourselves. We have emotions of happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, fear, disgust. And when we talk about feelings, we're talking about a reflection of the perception of our emotions. I know that sounds like a bit of a mouthful, but in other words, feelings are the way we perceive our emotions. Emotions are usually as a result of external stimuli. Maybe something happened, someone said something to us, someone gave us a gift, so there is an emotion. When we perceive it, the feelings we get can be varied. Now, what happens is when we are looking at our feelings are dependent on a few things. And some of the things that are dependent on are our beliefs and our experiences. And that is where our lessons for the last 2 weeks will come in very handy. Okay, so I'm going to give you a bit of a story. So imagine you are driving on a 30-mile per hour strip of road. And while you're driving happily with your family in the back, someone just comes, cuts you off, and is probably moving about 35 miles an hour and is just sped off. At that point, you might have, a, you might feel angry. So yes, the emotion there is anger, but based on your past experiences, what you were feeling at that time, the thoughts going through your mind, you might be infuriated, enraged. Sometimes some people feel even sad, as though, oh, that person's action on the road is a reflection of how bad a driver they are. It's very strange how feelings come. So, yes, the emotion is anger, but some people, or some would even have fear as well, because you go, oh my goodness, it could have been an accident. But your perception is varied depending on the different factors. Now, obviously, if you're angry, very infuriated, you feel like someone has just done something, has just cheated you, or has just done something that you cannot stand for, you probably grip your steering wheel more. You might go quite angry, your muscles are tense. You might shout some profanities, which you might regret later, depending on who is in the car, in case you've got children in the car. And that's actually where road rage comes from, because people are perceiving the action of one driver or another driver, or the inaction of another driver in a particular way, which is making them react. So, now that we know how these feelings and emotions can come about, what do we do about them? There are 5 keys with which you can help manage those feelings and emotions. Now, I know this is a bit of a whistle stop through like the summary of feelings and emotions, but if you stay with me regarding the 5 key steps, we will kind of touch on most of the things that we can put in place to help ourselves manage feelings and emotions better. Okay, so the first key is awareness. You need to be aware of the fact that you have a range of emotions, like I've mentioned before, those emotions you have. And you also need to be aware that you have got feelings, and your feelings are dependent on your past experiences, your thoughts that can become your beliefs, and your values. So, being fully aware of all that, it kind of prepares you for how you will perceive a situation. So, once you are aware, the next thing you need to do, which is the second key, is observation. Now, when you are faced with a situation, whatever it may be, the best thing is to kind of remove yourself from that situation, because you tend to see better and understand things better when you are taking an observer's role. How many of us have watched a football or soccer match, and you have the two opposing teams, the players, one is kicking the ball to the other one, and oh no, don't pass to that person, don't pass to that person. Why are you able to see and tell them who to pass to and who not to pass to? It's because you are the observer. When they're on the field, the pressure is on. They may not be able to take the right action, or they might hold on to the ball when they should have passed to that person who was free and could have scored a goal for your team that you're supporting. So that's the main reason why you need to take yourself off the playing field and observe. Now you start from an eagle eye perspective and zoom in. What are you observing for? You're looking at the whole situation. You're looking at the peculiarities of that situation. You are looking at the effect that the situation has on you. What we're talking about is the effect in terms of sweaty palms, upset tummy, flushed face, or palpitations, depending on whatever effect, noticing those effects that it has on you, noticing the effect it has on people around as well. When you observe, you're kind of collecting data from this situation without judging them per se, which you will kind of use later. Okay, so that next step, observation. The third step, which is the third key, is breathing. Now I know you'll probably say, breathing? Really? Yes, breathing. Breathing is such an important key to our well-being. There are so many uses of breathing, and one of them, very important, is when we breathe, when we're deliberate about our breathing. I'm not just saying the regular breathing, I'm talking about deep breathing. When you breathe deeply, one, you reduce the rate of your breathing. And when you reduce the rate of your breathing, you slow down the chattering and the um, enthusiasm and the response of the fight, flight, and freeze part of your brain. You remember a few weeks ago, we talked about the amygdala. It's like America, it's always looking for trouble. What's going on there? Oh my goodness, this is going to happen again. Oh, you don't want that to happen. When you breathe deeply, you kind of calm him down in the sense that he goes, oh, all right, there's really nothing to worry about. And then he kind of calms down. When that happens, then your prefrontal cortex, which is your thinking brain, can actually come in and help you make better decisions. So, one thing about deep breathing, it slows your rate, calms the amygdala. The next thing it does is that it also makes available to you oxygen that your brain would use in the thinking process. When you breathe deeply, the parts of your lungs that are not usually expanded when you're breathing regularly are now expanded, getting rid of all the dead space. And when that happens, it does help you make better decisions. Apart from that, breathing keeps you grounded, keeps you focused, and helps you make better decisions. Okay? Right, so those are the uses of breathing, and that's why it's such an important key. So now that you have gathered information, you're breathing, the next key I'm going to talk about is analysis. Now, this is when you do a series of steps: identify, clarify, modify. Okay, so what do I mean by those? Identify. When you have gathered the information by observation and you've calmed yourself down, then your thinking brain can actually face the facts that you have in front of it. It can identify the feelings you're having. Oh, I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling panicky. Give it a name. This is the time for you to actually analyze and break it down. So when you're observing, you are not supposed to judge your emotion, but now this is your time to actually give it a name. Now, once you've identified the feelings that you're having, you then need to clarify a few things. One, why are you feeling this way? It might come to you that, oh yes, this has happened before, it happened last week, and these were the consequences of that action. Or, oh, this has happened to someone based on my discussions with them, and this is what happened. Or this has happened many years ago, or something I have read, or something I have come across, or something I believe from my upbringing might cause this, that, and that. And then you understand why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Now, when you are addressing and clarifying why you're feeling the way you're feeling, there are some things that would come across to you that, really? Do I really have to feel that way? Are they a true reflection of the situation? And when those are the other things you need to clarify. When something is happening and you're referring to maybe something that's happened in the past, and they go, oh no. When you're clarifying, you're able to say, oh no, 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 no. That happened then. This is not happening now because these are the situations that are making it not to seem exactly like that occurrence in the past. So that's where your clarification comes in, and you can kind of streamline and make yourself recognize the authenticity of your feelings and validate or justify why you're feeling the way you're feeling. The next thing is modify. When you are able to identify and clarify what's happening, you can modify your feelings. And where that modification comes in is when you see something that is, I'll give you the example that we talked about, the person who's cut you off. The way you would feel if you were told this person had just left the club and was running maybe to get away from the police, or maybe someone who stole a car and is driving off recklessly, is different from the way you would feel if they told you that there was a pregnant woman in that car, bleeding out, about to give birth, and this person was rushing to the hospital. The perception, the feelings you would have would be real different. So when you have a better idea of what's happening, the truth around that situation, you'll be able to modify your feeling. Oh yeah, I mean, if it were me, I would probably do the same thing. I would probably drive reckless. I will be careful, but my aim is to get this person straight to the hospital. Things like that. So that's where your modification comes in. Now, the fifth key is your reaction or your response. Your reaction and your response can come in different ways. Now, you can respond if you were asked a question or you were faced with a situation. You can respond verbally. You can respond. Some people go back and write a report on the situation, maybe something at work, or they could actually get home and say, journal their thoughts, journal what's happened. They could get back to a place and speak to family or friends to kind of debrief or de-stress that situation. And another thing people might do is to seek professional help. And that's where you get someone, maybe a counselor or a therapist or your doctor, someone who would be able to support you with that feeling, especially when it's overwhelming. So, basically, today we've talked about your feelings and your emotions and how they can affect you. And we have talked about the 5 keys that you can use to improve your management of your feelings. So I'm just going to go over them very quickly again. We've talked about awareness, observation, breathing, analysis, and your response. So those are the 5 keys on how to manage your feelings and your emotions better. I hope you found this episode useful. And if you have, please like the video, share the video with people who you know will benefit from it. Let people know there are ways by which you can manage your well-being and enhance it. We all deserve to have a full, happy, well life. We all deserve to have fullness. So, this is Duni again from the Drew Academy. Next week, we'll talk about some more important and interesting tips that we can use to enhance our well-being. Until then, stay well and please do keep being healthy. Take care. Bye.